Гранатники, они сейчас орудие.
Over the past 24 hours, Russia has increased pressure across almost the entire front line, expanding offensive operations into sectors that had remained relatively quiet for months. Ukrainian military officials say the fighting is no longer concentrated in a few hotspots. Instead, Russian forces are probing defenses from north to south, looking for weak points while maintaining pressure on existing battlefields. According to Lieutenant Colonel Viktor Trehubov, spokesperson for Ukraine's Joint Forces Task Force, Russian troops are attempting to stretch Ukrainian defenses across the entire line of contact. New assault attempts have been reported along the border north of Kharkiv, including toward Hranev and Kozacha Lopan. Ukrainian forces say these attacks have so far been repelled, but they warn that Russia is actively trying to open additional sectors of the front while continuing pressure elsewhere. One of the biggest changes is the renewed activity around Velykyi Burluk. This area had remained relatively calm for an extended period, but Russian forces have now resumed offensive operations there. Heavy fighting also continues around Kupiansk, particularly on the eastern bank of the Oskil River, while the Lyman sector remains one of the most active and dangerous parts of the battlefield. Across the front, hundreds of combat engagements were recorded during the last day alone. Ukraine reports that Russia launched missile strikes, dozens of air attacks, dropped hundreds of guided bombs, and deployed more than 10,000 attack drones. Thousands of artillery rounds were also fired against Ukrainian positions and populated areas. Despite the intensity of these attacks, Ukrainian forces continue striking Russian military infrastructure behind the front. Over the past day, Ukrainian aircraft, missile units, and artillery targeted 3 Russian command posts, multiple troop concentration areas, artillery batteries, and several drone command centers. Ukraine also reports significant Russian losses during the same period. According to official figures, Russian forces lost nearly 1,200 personnel, along with armored vehicles, artillery systems, air defense equipment, drones, military transport, and specialized engineering vehicles. Some of the fiercest fighting is now taking place south of Lyman. Russian forces have intensified assaults around Ozerne and Kryva Luka, attempting to bypass the heavily defended city rather than assault it directly. Ukrainian analysts believe Moscow hopes to reach Raihorodok and Rai-Oleksandrivka, creating a path toward the larger Sloviansk urban area. Military observers say repeated attempts to enter Lyman itself have resulted in severe Russian losses. Instead of continuing costly frontal assaults, Russian commanders appear to be searching for alternative routes around the city. Control of settlements farther west would place Russian troops closer to Sloviansk, one of Ukraine's key defensive centers in Donetsk Oblast. The situation around Yampil is described by Ukrainian analysts as particularly difficult. Ukrainian troops continue defending the settlement despite constant attacks and mounting pressure from Russian forces attempting to expand their foothold in the area.
Рука-нога. Бля, шея тоже. Я возьму от меня. Вытяни снаряд. Давай, брат.
Russia has also adapted its battlefield tactics after suffering heavy losses in armored assaults. Ukrainian soldiers report that large mechanized attacks have become increasingly rare. Previously, infantry fighting vehicles would transport dozens of soldiers close to Ukrainian positions before launching attacks. Those vehicles, however, became easy targets for Ukrainian drones, artillery, and anti-tank weapons. Instead, Russian units are now advancing in very small infiltration groups of only 2 or 3 soldiers. These teams attempt to move unnoticed through forests, fields, and rough terrain, using weather and natural cover to slip between Ukrainian defensive positions before establishing small footholds. Ukrainian troops say the new tactic has reduced Russian vehicle losses, but has not significantly improved battlefield success, as many infiltration teams are still detected and eliminated. A recently released battlefield video highlights another unusual aspect of the conflict. Footage captured by a Ukrainian drone appears to show an African mercenary serving with Russian forces attempting to escape across an open field while wearing little more than underwear beneath a Russian military jacket. The drone follows the man across the field before carrying out its strike, illustrating both the growing use of foreign fighters within Russian formations and the constant threat posed by Ukrainian drone operators. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered the continuation of large-scale strikes against Ukraine's military-industrial infrastructure. Speaking during a visit to a Russian military command post, Putin stated that coordinated attacks on facilities supporting Ukraine's defense industry should continue. He also repeated long-standing Kremlin claims accusing Ukraine of attacking civilian targets inside Russia and used those accusations to justify expanding what Moscow calls a security zone along the border. During the same remarks, Putin once again claimed that Russian forces had fully captured the Luhansk region and also asserted that Kostiantynivka had fallen under Russian control. Similar claims have been made by Russian officials before, often without independent confirmation or supporting evidence. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov also acknowledged a significant shift in Russia's official language regarding the conflict. He stated that what Moscow originally called a special military operation has effectively become a full-scale war because of extensive Western involvement. According to Peskov, countries including Germany, France, Norway, the Netherlands, and the United States are providing military support that allows Ukraine to continue fighting. He further claimed that Western satellite networks assist Ukraine in targeting Russian positions and that Western military infrastructure plays a direct role in supporting Ukrainian operations. Elsewhere in Europe, comments from Polish politician Krzysztof Bosak have generated attention after he claimed that Poland quietly transferred Patriot interceptor missiles to Ukraine earlier this year. Bosak argued that the missiles had originally been purchased to strengthen Poland's own air defense against Russian Iskander missiles stationed in Kaliningrad. His remarks have fueled debate inside Poland over military assistance provided to Ukraine. In occupied southern Ukraine, Russian logistics are also evolving. Officials monitoring Mariupol report that Russian forces are increasingly transporting troops in small groups disguised within civilian traffic. Military vehicles are mixed among ordinary civilian cars, making convoys much more difficult to identify from the air. These movements are reportedly accompanied by mobile fire support units, suggesting Moscow is adapting its logistics to reduce losses from Ukrainian drone surveillance and precision strikes.
Ебать, он уебал только что.
Taken together, these developments point to a broader shift in Russia's strategy. Instead of relying solely on large armored offensives, Moscow appears to be combining constant pressure across multiple sectors with smaller infiltration attacks, expanded drone operations, dispersed logistics, and sustained strikes deep inside Ukraine. While none of these changes have produced a decisive breakthrough so far, they are forcing Ukrainian defenders to respond across an increasingly wide and active front stretching from the Kharkiv border to the Donetsk battlefield.